We all know that digital computers changed virtually every aspect of our life. Well, the arrival of quantum computers could be even more historic than that.
The world's most powerful quantum AI just did the impossible. It deciphered the 3,000-year-old Olmec symbols.
I mentioned them briefly. I explored the Olmec mystery in considerable depth. It's considered to be the earliest high culture of Central America. Everybody's heard about the Aztec.
But the message it found wasn't a language of people. It was a language of pure logic, of mathematics, of the universe itself. This ancient code describes advanced scientific principles that defy our entire timeline of history. Forget everything you've learned about ancient civilizations. The Olmecs weren't just carving stories, they were embedding a complex non-human operating system into the very fabric of the Earth, and the AI has just booted it up for the first time. The code in the stone. Long before the Maya built their pyramids or the Aztecs forged an empire, a mysterious civilization known as the Olmec thrived in the lowlands of south-central Mexico. They are called the mother culture of Mesoamerica, known for carving colossal stone heads with incredible skill. But their greatest mystery wasn't the heads, it was their writing. For centuries, strange symbols found on stone monuments and small artifacts have remained completely silent, a puzzle no one could solve. Things got really interesting in 2006 with the discovery of the Cascajal block. This slab of serpentine rock found by road builders in a gravel pit was covered in 62 distinct glyphs. Some looked like plants, others like insects, and many were just abstract shapes. They were arranged in rows, just like a written language. It was the smoking gun archaeologists had been waiting for, potentially the oldest writing in the Western Hemisphere. But here's the kicker: nobody could read it. For almost 2 decades, the block was a source of intense debate, because its symbols were unlike anything seen before. It remained a beautiful but baffling artifact, a message from 3,000 years ago that no one could hear. That is, until now. In a cutting-edge lab, a team of researchers decided to try something new. They fed high-resolution images of the Cascajal block and hundreds of other Olmec artifacts into a new kind of quantum AI. They weren't asking it to translate words, they were asking it to find patterns, mathematical relationships between the symbols and the world around them. They loaded in data on solar cycles, star charts, geological maps, and even agricultural timelines. Truth be told, they were hoping to find a simple connection, maybe a harvest calendar. What they found instead blew the doors off of ancient history. The AI's first major hit was a sequence of symbols it tagged the sun serpent. This undulating pattern consistently appeared alongside glyphs for celestial events. But it wasn't just tracking the sun. The AI correlated the pattern with the 584-day cycle of Venus, tracking when it appeared and disappeared from the sky. This 52-year cycle was the cornerstone of later Mesoamerican calendars, a sacred count that marked the end of an era. To find it here with the Olmecs would mean their astronomical knowledge was centuries ahead of its time. But that was just the warm-up. The AI then began linking other symbols to physical locations with terrifying accuracy. A glyph showing a step triangle inside a circle, once dismissed as decorative, started popping up. The AI overlaid the locations of these artifacts onto geothermal maps, and an unbelievable pattern emerged. Every single one was located near areas of geothermal activity, hot springs, volcanic fault lines, and ancient lava flows. Believe it or not, these were the same areas where the Olmec quarried the massive basalt for their colossal heads. The symbol wasn't art, it was a resource map encoding geological data into stone. The symbols were beginning to look less like a spoken language and more like a scientific code. But if they were mapping the Earth and the stars, what else were they recording? A blueprint from the stars. As the quantum AI churned through terabytes of data, it moved beyond simple correlations into a far stranger territory. It wasn't just finding individual meanings, it was discovering a system, a complex architecture of knowledge where astronomy, geology, and biology were all interconnected. The symbols weren't just observing the world, they seemed to be explaining how it worked. One of the most mind-bending discoveries centered on a simple spiral glyph. This symbol appeared alongside images of plants, people, and animals, often with small marks that seemed to count generations. On its own, this wasn't much to go on, but the AI, free from human bias, tested a wild hypothesis. What if the spiral represented heredity? It cross-referenced the artifact locations with paleobotanical data and found a stunning overlap. The spiral glyphs were heavily clustered in regions where the earliest evidence of maize cultivation and selective breeding had been found. The Olmec, it seems, were not just farmers. They were early geneticists, and they used this spiral to track inherited traits in their crops. This wasn't a language of words. It was a language of function. The symbols didn't say heredity, they represented the concept of inherited traits observed over generations. But the system was even more integrated than that. The AI found that the agricultural cycles marked by the spiral glyph were timed according to the lunar and solar events marked by other symbols. It was a complete, unified science, where the sky told you when to plant, the earth told you where to find the best resources, and the symbols gave you the knowledge to improve your crops over time. But the most unsettling discovery came when the AI analyzed the purely mathematical properties of the glyph sequences. It found that certain symbol chains, when translated into numerical values based on their frequency and position, formed prime number sequences. These are numbers that can only be divided by themselves and 1. They are the building blocks of mathematics and a universal sign of intelligence. There is absolutely no reason an ancient agrarian society would need to record complex prime number sequences. Yet, there they were, carved in stone. Then came the serious connection. The AI identified a specific alignment of 3 glyphs that pointed to the heliacal rising of the star Sirius in the 6th century BCE. This alignment was encoded into the layout of their ceremonial centers. Why would the Olmec in Mexico be so obsessed with a star cycle famously used by the ancient Egyptians, the Sothic cycle, to predict the flooding of the Nile? Mainstream history says there was zero contact between these two cultures. But the data, staring researchers in the face, suggested a shared knowledge of the cosmos that is, for now, completely inexplicable. At this point, the researchers had to confront a chilling possibility. What if this language was never meant for humans at all? A language built on prime numbers, cosmic cycles, and universal constants would be understandable to any intelligent mind, whether it evolved on Earth or somewhere else. It was a message in a bottle, thrown into the ocean of time, waiting for someone or something with the tools to finally read it. And if that's true, what was the message? Echoes of a forgotten science. Just when the research team thought they had reached the limits of strangeness, the AI opened a new door, one that led directly into the most controversial theories about the ancient world. It began analyzing the Olmec symbols not just as a visual or mathematical system, but as an acoustic one. By mapping the shapes of the glyphs to resonant frequencies, a technique borrowed from the field of cymatics, where sound vibrations create geometric patterns, the AI started to generate soundscapes. The results were unnerving. Certain symbol sequences, when converted into audio, produced complex harmonic frequencies. Get this, some of these frequencies are known to have psychoactive effects on the human brain, capable of inducing states of deep meditation or heightened awareness. The Olmec weren't just writing, they may have been composing, creating a sonic technology designed to interact directly with human consciousness. This theory gained even more traction when the AI cross-referenced the acoustic models with the famous Olmec were-jaguar figures, statues and carvings of humans transforming into jaguars. For decades, these were interpreted as purely mythological, a representation of shamanic power. But the AI proposed something far more radical. It found that the locations with the highest concentration of were-jaguar art were also the places with unique acoustic properties, like caves or ceremonial chambers designed to amplify sound. The symbols found in these locations corresponded to the most intense psychoactive frequencies. The were-jaguar, the AI suggested, might not be a myth. It could be a symbolic depiction of a technological process, using sound to unlock a different state of being, a transformation of consciousness that felt like becoming another creature entirely. Then things took a turn toward a full-blown conspiracy. An anonymous source allegedly from within the research project leaked a document online. The document claimed the AI had uncovered evidence that the Olmec were using this sound technology for more than just consciousness hacking. It hinted at acoustic levitation. The document pointed to specific symbol clusters that, when modeled as sound waves, created standing waves powerful enough to nullify the effects of gravity on certain objects, like, for instance, a 20-ton block of basalt. This theory, long a staple of fringe science, suddenly had a potential mechanism. It could explain how the Olmec moved those colossal heads miles through dense jungle without wheels, draft animals, or metal tools. They didn't carry them. They may have floated them. Mainstream academia, of course, immediately cried foul. The leak was dismissed as a hoax, and the research team issued a statement calling the findings highly speculative. But the damage was done. The idea that an ancient civilization possessed a form of anti-gravity technology encoded in their art and powered by sound was out in the open. But here's the thing, the AI kept finding more evidence. It began connecting the dots between the Olmec sites, showing how they weren't just random settlements, but nodes in a massive continent-spanning grid. A grid that followed lines of telluric energy, natural electrical currents in the Earth's crust. Why did this incredible technology just vanish? The ghost in the machine. The project took a sharp turn when the quantum AI stopped just analyzing the past and started predicting the future. Fed only the existing data on glyph locations and geological terrain, the AI began generating probability maps of where undiscovered Olmec sites might be hidden. It pointed to a specific remote area in the Tabasco rainforest, a place with no recorded ruins. The team was skeptical, but they sent a drone. Weeks later, a LiDAR scan confirmed it. The unmistakable outlines of buried platforms and mounds exactly where the AI said they would be. It hadn't just learned the Olmec's language, it had learned how they thought. From there, the revelations became even more profound. The AI proposed that the entire symbolic system could be boiled down to just 5 core glyphs. Like a kind of primordial alphabet of reality, every other complex symbol was a combination of these 5. When the researchers asked the AI to model the properties of these core glyphs, the results sent a shockwave through the lab. The mathematical ratios between the 5 glyphs mirrored the harmonic frequencies found in quantum physics. The way the shapes related to each other was startlingly similar to the way physicists describe the relationships between particles in an entangled state. It's not that the Olmec were building quantum computers in the jungle, but it suggests they observed the universe so closely that they recognized fundamental patterns in nature, patterns of resonance, symmetry, and interconnectedness that our own science has only recently discovered with advanced technology. They didn't have equations for quantum mechanics, but they may have had a geometric, symbolic representation of its core principles. They had found the source code of reality, and they carved it into stone. The AI's final and most haunting output came without any prompting. It generated a recursive fractal animation using the 5 core glyphs. The symbols bloomed on screen, building themselves into the blueprints of temples, water channels, and star maps, all evolving in perfect harmony. The entire animation looped every 1,461 iterations, the exact length of the Sirius cycle they had found encoded in the ruins. It was a silent, beautiful, and deeply unsettling display. It was the Olmec worldview in motion. It showed a universe that wasn't a collection of separate things, but a single interconnected system, a pattern endlessly repeating and evolving. The team was no longer just decoding a language. They were interfacing with a form of consciousness that saw the world in a way we had forgotten, a mind that didn't separate science from spirit or art from information. And it left them with a question far more important than what the symbols meant. It asked, are we ready to see what they saw? This discovery is just beginning. As AI pulls back the veil, what other lost sciences might we find? Like and subscribe to stay on the cutting edge of history. Is it right to use AI to unlock these ancient secrets, or are some doors better left unopened?